everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are watching the Vuyo Show right here on VN, where I get to sit down with inspiring leaders and celebrated stars from all around the world as we get to share their journeys and their stories with you right here on the show. I'm your host, your darling Vuyo, and on the show today, I have a queen, a very special lady who I cannot wait to introduce to you at home. So let me first show you a sneak peek of what you can expect on the show today. Have a look at this. You're Samke, right?
Yes.
I want you to introduce yourself to the audiences. Just give them a little bit of a background exactly of how would you describe yourself to someone who is watching at home?
My father wanted me to be an accountant. I wanted to be a fashion designer. There was an innate and deep-seated sense that I'm not good enough to be raised by my parents. My husband at the time, my ex-husband now, was working for a bank. And I saw his lifestyle. I was like, I really want to do this. I always say that I believe in a God I've experienced, not a God I've been taught.
Yes.
So I've had experiences in life where it looks like there's no way I'm going to get out of this.
Entrepreneurship, authoring, and of course, traveling the world are some of the things that describe my next guest. Ladies and gents, please help me welcome onto the show, author, entrepreneur, global queen. I mean, the list goes on and on. It is the one and only Samke Mhlongo. Woo, woo, woo.
Thank you, Vuyo. So kind coming from you. So
How
kind.
are you?
I'm great. I'm excellent. I'm abundant. I'm excelling. I am just being.
Yes, I love that. I absolutely love that. And we're getting to see that radiate. And I'm sure our audience at home are like, who is this lovely and gorgeous lady on our screens? You're Samke, right?
Yes.
I want you to introduce yourself to the audiences. Just give them a little bit of a background exactly of how would you describe yourself to someone who is watching at home?
Samke Mhlongo is someone who is aspiring to live according to her true purpose.
Yes.
And the reason I don't start by describing myself by what I do is because I'm not a human doing, I'm a human being.
Yes.
I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, being a human being. And so once you start looking at life like that, why am I here?
Yeah.
What brought me here? What am I supposed to leave behind? How am I supposed to leave the world different? Then the being overtakes the doing. So sure, I've been a banker, sure, I've done entrepreneurship, sure, I've written a book, sure, I've been on a TV show. But the why is where I am right now. So what? You know, what will I answer when God asks me, what did you do with the lifetime I gave you? And so she's a woman looking for those answers and looking to make sure that every night she goes to bed, her heart is clean, that at every stage in that day, she made the decision that rings true with her purpose.
You're so grounded, Samke. This is only a couple of seconds of us starting the show, but I'm already feeling, you know, so much inspiration and warmth and just strong-headedness from you. KZN is where it all started, and I'm sure it did play a role in encompassing what it is that we see today. Describe that experience for us, growing up in KZN. What did that look like? What was that experience like?
Raised by my grandmother, a matriarch, moved around a lot because she was chief matron at the hospital she worked at. So she'd be running the college as well as the hospital. And she'd be deployed to different hospitals. And I always joke that I lived in a gated community before gated communities were a thing because we lived on the hospital grounds.
Yeah.
And so I was very validated from a young age because I'd be walking past and people would say, that's Mrs. Mselego's granddaughter. So I was validated, but at the same time, the way I've handled the challenges in my adult life have shown me that in being raised by my grandmother and being validated, there was also a shadow side to that, as with all things in life. And that shadow side was that there was an innate and deep-seated sense that I'm not good enough to be raised by my parents. So as much as I had the luxury of being raised by my grandmother and my grandfather, there was also but why am I not being raised by my parents? Which wasn't too big a consideration before they went on to marry other people and have other children, which they raised at their side.
Yes.
So of my siblings, I'm the only one that wasn't raised by my mom or my dad in those two households.
Yeah.
And so as much as I would go on stages, speaking, or on radio with the finance features I have, or on TV doing interviews, and people say, wow, you're so confident, in my intimate relationships, a very deep insecurity would always show up, because when I'm off stage, there's that, but you know you're not that good, right? And so dealing with that imposter syndrome has been quite a big journey of my adult life, and my journey to source and to self, and to saying, how do I present myself as a more whole being, as opposed to this dichotomy of personalities.
Yeah, the way in which you kind of sum that up for us, you're a storyteller, because you took us from you know your growing up with your grandmother, and then took us to a completely different topic that leads to us understanding your adulthood now, right? But I want you to kind of give context to how does one contextualize their surroundings and heal from their surroundings to be able to become better, adults?
Yes.
Because those play a role, right, in the overall life that one gets to live.
Yes.
For you, how did you then find that healing from that?
I think healing is a continuous journey, and really all of life and this human experience is a journey of ascension.
Yeah.
And some schools of thought actually say we choose what kind of life we want, because it helps us on our journey of ascension. So we choose what trials we want to overcome.
Yeah.
And so before having that understanding and awareness of myself, and deeper awareness of myself, I used to really romanticize my childhood. And I think it's quite unfair to do that, which is why I don't do that anymore.
Okay.
I grew up quite comfortable, I grew up quite validated, but I think it was quite unfair to really not show the shadow side of that. Because then if you didn't have, the upbringing that Samke had, you may be sitting thinking, oh, that's why she's there and I can't be there because I didn't have that.
Yeah.
But similarly, you watch other people's stories and they say, I suffered so much, we didn't have food at home, or I grew up dirt poor, like Viola Davis will say, and you're like, oh, I wish I had some of that suffering. Maybe I'd be further in life. You know what I'm saying? So we can't, we have to look at the different facets of that upbringing to say, these are the challenges it gave me. This is the leg up it gave me, but also this is the challenge it gave me. So that when you are looking and reflecting at your own life, you see both the shadow and the light.
Yes.
And how you actually handed the cards you need to actually play the game to win in this lifetime. And so it's in that journey of healing, that trying to balance how it is that I can have a successful career, but then my romantic relationships and my friendships even, or even my family relationships are in shambles. And so when you look at the holistic wheel of wellness, which is founded on 8 pillars, really, it says that you may shoot the lights out, have a 9 out of 10 in one area of your life, call it finances, call it education, call it occupational wellness. So I'm a top performer in my job. But if in your emotional well-being pillar, or your social pillar, so your relationships, you score at below a 5, let's say, then you actually won't have that satisfaction and that quality of life. And that's why we say money does not buy happiness. It's having satisfaction in those 8 areas of your life that brings you contentment, happiness, and then allows you to go on that journey of ascension.
Yeah, holistic living.
Holistic, baby.
Holistic living. What area of your life would you say right now, right, is one that you're drawing source the most from to be able to source all the other ones? You started off saying you're a spiritual being, right? But which one would you say, and kind of going into a little bit more depth within that helps fuel then the others, other pillars as well?
Definitely my spiritual well-being, and not religious.
Yes.
Spiritual.
Yes.
Because a lot of people also tend to get lost in the religion, the dogma, the practices. And I always say that I believe in a God I've experienced, not a God of being taught.
Yes.
So I've had experiences in life where it looks like there's no way I'm going to get out of this. And it's luck, it's a miracle, it's a coincidence, it's serendipity that comes in. And more in the world of finance, we're actually seeing that it's less about the numbers and picking the right stock that helps people, even choosing the right career, that determines a person's financial outcome.
Okay.
It's actually got a lot to do with your attitude, your behavior, biases, and luck.
Okay.
So if you can actually be in tune, as one should be, with your emotional preparedness even for success. Because some of us, unbeknownst to us and subconsciously, push success away. We're afraid of no longer being in the fold where our friends are, where our family is. We're afraid of being better than. We even get ostracized with it. You think you're better than.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I do. I think I'm better than
Yeah.
who I was yesterday. I think I'm better than the earnings I had yesterday. I think I'm better than the fees I was charging last year.
Yes.
Because if I'm not striving to be better than, then what am I doing here? So if you're able to marry that with the ability to now, we talk about vision boards and manifesting, and we're becoming more, accepting of the intangibles of life.
Yes.
So to start creating your own luck, to start identifying luck and capitalizing on luck, then we can all actually funnel and create those centers of excellence and wealth to be able to not worry about the mundane tasks of life, like have I paid my debit orders? That's taken care of. You can now focus on what is my purpose? What am I here to do? How do I leave the world a better place?
Yeah.
Which is why you find most people, once they've amassed a huge amount of wealth, they'll turn to philanthropic activities, they'll turn to impact work. And so we can create a beeline to that stage of our lives.
I'm so happy our conversation started with holistic being. Because now we're about to go into the incredible work and the incredible success that you've had. But starting from there enables us to kind of have a grounded approach to this conversation. And I'm so happy we did that. But your background in finance,
Yes.
which is what you also got to do at UCT in Cape Town. Share with us what drew you to that space? What attracted you in the finance space that led you to studying it and led you to actually getting into it? Share that with us.
My father wanted me to be an accountant. I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Oh, wow.
So in grade 11, when we do job shadowing, I job shadowed at Trueworks. I wanted to be a buyer, and he was like, that's cute, not happening. So my late father really influenced what I studied, and my heart wasn't in it. I did it to finish and get the qualification, but my heart wasn't in it. And so I found myself on this path where I've gone too far to turn back. And I then started audit articles, even though I knew I never wanted to be a financial manager or a CFO in life, But I did it because it's like, well, since I'm already here. As luck would have it, I failed. Thank goodness. Because that forced me to change direction.
Okay.
And sometimes we don't realize in life that, hey, this is not a rejection, it's a redirection. And my husband at the time, my ex-husband now, was working for a bank. And I saw his lifestyle. I was like, I really want to do this. And so I joined Investec Bank. But once I was inside, I realized that, again, coming back from my childhood of seeing my grandmother and my grandfather go from this lifestyle of a dual income, middle to upper class family for apartheid South Africa, were very comfortable, to then having my grandfather fall ill from a stroke, go to a single income, and my gran not being able to cope with that, to the point where we got an eviction notice from our home when we were now living off the hospital premises. And I remember saying to her, Ma, I'll build you a house when I'm older, so you don't have to face this pain, because I saw the stresses and I saw how we had to change our lifestyle. And I saw her going to the bank, trying to negotiate and trying to get them to understand that, guys, this is what's happening. It's not that I don't want to pay. Help me figure out how to pay. And they just weren't forthcoming with that kind of help. And I realized that came through to say, hey, what if there are other, Samke's grannies sitting in my client base who say, I want to, but show me how.
Yeah.
And that's where the coaching element started, where I would coach my clients who were top 1% of the country and saying, hey, just because you make money doesn't mean you know how to manage it. And you don't need to be ashamed that you don't know how to manage it, because just like you have a body but still need a medical doctor, you have money, but you need someone to help you manage it.
Yes.
And that's where the coaching started. And from the coaching, and just looking at people's behaviors and attitudes towards money and beliefs towards money, I then did an MBA dissertation on behavior and the factors contributing to over-indebtedness, especially in Black South African females.
Yeah.
And from that dissertation, I started on social media blogging to say, hey, this is how the system works. This is how you can make it work for you. And from there, the book and the career and everything else.
And you get to impact South Africans' lives now with your segment on radio.
Yes.
within the financial space as well. Getting to communicate with thousands of people that get to listen to you on this topic. That experience, how do you go about sharing how it is and the lessons you learn from that in itself? Because now people who are from various backgrounds, from various different phases in life get to listen to you on air.
Yeah. You need to, it's easy when you've got a big platform and a big following and attention to get lost in that. And in my journey, I definitely have got lost in that along the way. Hence, me being so intentional about being grounded in my why, because I've done many radio stations, and you'll go on Twitter and someone says, oh, every time I hear that Samke chick on radio, I just switch off, I can't stand her voice. And you're like, oh my God, I thought I had a nice voice. But you need to put yourself second and put the why first. Why am I doing this? The impact. So when I go on radio, I don't even really look at who's listening, who's not. I think to myself, okay, what's the why? What financial information do I believe people need to hear? So I've got a daily business segment, and then I've got a bi-monthly financial wellness segment on 2 different stations. And so I always say, okay, what are people struggling with? What matters to people? So yes, I'm not here to yes, I'm here to impart information, but I'm not here to sound smart. As my gran once said after one of my CNBC interviews, she said,
yes,
you sounded so smart, I didn't understand a thing. And I realized, no, that's not why I'm here. So I keep it very basic, and I say what matters to people. So my industry peers may go on to do other things, or my ex-finance peers may go on to do other very technical things. My why is, how do I use what I've learned to serve, to be of service? And that's how I look at radio now and TV. At some point, I had a magazine column to say, use the platform for impact and less for self, and less for, oh, look at me, look at me.
Yes, yes.
Very easy to get lost in that. And then you start being taken by what's viral, what will get me the likes, what will get me the popularity, as opposed to what message am I supposed to be bringing.
Yes.
The teacher has never won a popularity contest. So you must choose, am I here to be popular, or am I here to teach and impart?
Yeah. Impartation of legacy, life, inspiration, of course, is what Samke is doing across the different platforms that she's on. So you hear on radio and might see her on TV as well, as she is a reality TV star. But we chat about all of that, the book that you get to see in front of you right now, and so much more straight after this quick ad break. Now, being a reality TV star is something that I definitely want to learn more about from Samke today on the show, as you might have seen her on Queens of Mzansi on SABC1. And Samke, share with us. I mean, you were probably one of my favorite people on the show. Like, when I got to see you on the show, I resonated with you to some extent, right? And I know that there are so many other women who got to watch the show. And I'm like, yeah, Samke is my queen. We have that kind of favorite queen. I mean, you are mine. For me, you are that. And I know that you are that for so many others as well. What does being a reality TV star mean? And how do you navigate that experience? Because it comes with its own... it comes with its own Twitter and social media, and she rolls
that experience. I mean, I've got people who are like, what were you thinking? And again, for me, it was about impact. You know, it was the ability to use my life as a real-time case study on what to do, what not to do, and not a reflection. Because, it's easy when you're reflecting to say, then I did this, and then I did that, and then it worked out nicely. Package it and tied up in a nice bow. Here you got to see the mess, real time. Here you got to see me figure things out, real time, where you don't know what the outcome is going to be. And to be honest, I am a little bit disappointed with how the show, the end product was, because again, you're trying to satisfy different objectives. You're trying to satisfy a channel that wants ratings. You're trying to satisfy the production company that wants, a juicy show. You're trying to satisfy Samke, who are saying, show the reality. Don't, try and instigate the drama. Don't rehash something that really, we're over it, let's move on. Show me at work. Show me in my love life. Show me, pining for my children. Show me crying on my friend's shoulder, instead of show me having a go at this other castmate in a story line that is frankly dead. So the experience really opened me up to the reality of the TV industry and the reality of production and the reality of the fact that, at the end of the day, this is a commercial venture and we need to put out something that makes money. If it's not making money, we need to change direction. So the show happened, great platform, great opportunity. I personally do not agree with the final product. I had said no to the request to be on the show twice already. Being a reality TV personality was not something that I had desired, but the bug has bitten and I miss that microphone and I miss those cameras. So I want to do it again, this time on my terms.
Okay.
This time where I want you to see the unflattering as well as the flattering. I want you to see the boring days where I'm just sitting and nothing is happening. It's me and Lolo in our pajamas being like, girl, you want KFC? Yeah, I want KFC. And we're stuffing our faces with chicken, and it's not glamorous, and it just is. So that when you're sitting with your girl having KFC in your PJs, uncoordinated sets even, you're like, this is life.
This is life.
You don't have to be in the feathery, flowy, and, drinking shampoos and mimosas in the morning. We staged a bit of that for you, We do it, but we decided to show you more of that, whereas it wasn't the full picture.
Yeah.
And I think we need to see more of the full picture.
You kind of opened up a little bit though on the show. We got to see a little bit of a glimpse, right? Even though, as you're saying, it was, put together, but we got to see a little bit of you. And I that's why I'm saying I resonated with that. And I know there are so many at home who would say Samke is the queen of Mzansi. Would you take that?
I mean, if not me, then who? Then who?
Absolutely love that. Now, another success story, another success product that you kind of brought out was this lovely product in front of us. Ringfence, right? Your lovely book that has, I would like to believe, has had an impact as well. Writing a book, how was that process? Was it like,
harrowing.
I wake up, I just...
No, harrowing. I'm behind schedule for the second book, but it's the first book, Ringfence, took so much out of me.
Yes.
That I really am reckoning with God for the strength to write the second one. It took a lot out of me emotionally, financially, legally, and I call it my love letter to women because it showcased those stories that, number one, we're not comfortable telling, but number two, that not many of us actually are able to tell because of issues of defamation, libel, the legalities around saying, hey, this is what happened to me. Of course, I understand the law needs to protect the other party because you're telling a story from your perspective. And this story is biased somewhat in that it shows more of the negatives, that happen in life if you don't, as a woman, ring-fence yourself financially, psychologically, and legally.
Yeah.
And ring-fence is nothing but a barrier, a virtual barrier, used in investment banking. It's actually a finance term.
Okay.
Where companies ring-fence their most valuable assets when going through a risky transaction. And for women, the risky transactions of life are marriage, choosing who to be in a relationship, choosing your career. And so you need to put those protective measures in place so that should things not go according to plan, you're not left falling flat on your face.
Yeah. Some of our crew members in the studio now are nodding as you're speaking about that. And I know everyone at home as well is nodding, wanting to know how they can get their hands on this book. Where does one get it?
Exclusive books around the country, South Africa, Amazon.com, around the world, Kindle and print. That's where you can get it. And ringfenceonline.com. If you're in South Africa, then we will deliver it as well. Also in Takeola. It's basically everywhere. Just say Ringfence novel and you'll find it.
Amazing, amazing. Samke, you also are one of the most influential people of African descent.
Yes.
Around the world. MyPad,
yes.
Which is an organization that we get to both serve under as one of the top 100 influential people around the world. Now, you get to be amongst some of the best around the world, and knowing and finding out that you are part of that list, what was that feeling like? How did you find out?
I was like, it must be a fluke.
Yeah.
I was like, it must be a lie. Camille, the convener, basically said to me, your class of 2018, we like the work you're doing in financial literacy. I'm like, huh? You know, when I looked at some of my peers, they had gone on to, they were serving on committees for the government. They'd written books, they'd won awards for fintech games. And I'm like, I'm still struggling with Dropbox. So how can I be in the same league as people who've got like fintech startups? I mean, one of our classmates, GB, had started Flutterwave, which is like Africa's 4th ever unicorn, $1 billion company. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I need to put together money for the flight to New York.
Yeah.
You know? So there was, the imposter syndrome was screaming. But one of my favorite quotes and sayings is, you know, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called.
Yes.
And for me, that was more you're meant to do this, you're meant to be here. And it was such a beautiful experience going to New York, meeting other top achievers. And again, even in those top achievers, I saw the people, I saw the human, I saw the essence, you know. We got to do some leadership games and strategies that really pulled out what barriers and hindrances could there be between where you are, which is great, to your next level of greatness, right? And that I took was some of the key, or one of the key takeaways for me. And I've made lifelong friendships through my pad. AY from Nigeria is one of my lifelong friends. And really, it's a platform where you do with it what you will.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
There's no one spoon feeding you. There's no it's not like some secret society where it's like, okay, here you go, guys. Here's a list of your classmates for this year. Go forth and conquer and build those bridges between you and, you know, Africans in the diaspora.
Yeah.
Which is a big founding ethos of MyPad as well, to say we want to partner Africans on the continent with Africans in the diaspora. And so being a global citizen now, where I'm spending kind of half my time between here and the US, I'm really seeing the value in that. Because being African in Africa and being African American are two very different experiences.
Yeah. And MyPad gets to showcase that, but also show the beauty in those two worlds becoming one.
The power.
Yes.
The power in those two worlds becoming one. If you look at the numbers, in terms of Africans, full stop, around the world, if you look at the remittances, how much we're sending back into the continent, if you look at our buying power, the minute we unite, we're going to upend the whole world as we know it. There's a reason why America portrays Africa the way it does in media, so that you don't have the desire to go back home. Because should you, first of all, the American economy will collapse because now you don't have cheap labor.
Yes.
Okay. And then second of all, when you've got that uprising with those skills, the intelligence, and the power of the African American people to access their spiritual heritage, child.
It unlocks something quite powerful from within. I'm so happy we touched base on MyPad, because it really is one of those organizations that Camille says the 1%, as he likes to explain it, the 1%, bringing the 1% together, that the 99% will be inspired to be able to get to that as well. So, and it is an incredible organization that, you know, serves and partners with the United Nations, and really brings the top of the top from around the world in these different sectors. So congrats for being on that 100 list.
Right back at you.
What's next for Samke? What's on the cards next? What more do you want to do? What more do you want to achieve? Looking at where you are right now, which has been an incredible journey. But what we're looking forward, what is next?
What is next is intentionally building my community. So kind of getting here has been doing what's in front of me, you know, responding to what's in front of me. Okay, I've got a radio gig. Okay, it's time to write a book. Okay, you know, this is where my journey or career has taken me. And what's next is a very intentional community building of women that are ready to elevate in all areas.
Yeah.
I started out wanting to help women elevate their financial status, but I realized if I'm not helping you heal from the childhood trauma, if I'm not helping you negotiate the power dynamics in your house that says now you think you're the man, now that you're earning more than me, if I'm not helping you break free from the chains of black tax because your mom was guilt tripping you to say, but Ntanam, I sacrificed so much for you. And you're now sacrificing yourself in turn outside of the boundaries that you're comfortable with, then we're wasting each other's time.
Yeah.
So I'm building that community on social media, taking it to a wonderful platform started and built by my friend Irene, which is a for women by women social media platform, private social media platform, taking it to tour, and also planning a global event happening in August. I don't want to say too much. I was in a meeting about that just this morning with Samke from South Africa, Irene from East Africa, and T from the US, African American. And we're now closing and building that bridge and closing that sisterhood to say it's time for us to talk. It's time for us to do business. It's time for us to heal, but not for the sake of healing so that we can say, oh, how wonderful it is to be in the state of healing, but so that we can go out and dominate.
Yes.
So it is the soft with the hard. It's the scientific with the intangible. It's the sisterhood with a purpose.
Yes.
To say there's opportunities in property in Lagos. What does that mean for us?
How do we tap into that?
It's about stock files. It's about global equity stock files, honey. We're not now joining savings clubs for impu maize meal. No, baby. We're buying whole buildings.
Yes. We're dominating. We're taking over.
Buying whole towns.
I am so excited for I just don't want you to go now. I'm like, let's go on, let's keep the cameras rolling. But we have to wrap up the show and say goodbye, but that means that you have to come back again and again and again and again. You have to come back again. What is that fashion line coming out? Because that was a dream that you had as a little girl. Can we expect a fashion line somewhere?
And why not? And why not? Since we are letting go of these hindrances and barriers, I definitely would love to do a fashion line. I mean, my style is very kind of granny. People laugh that, oh, Samke dressed like a granny. Very classic, very monochrome, very twin sets, very flowy fabrics. I'd love to do a line of just, resort wear and lounge wear. And, please, can we stop wearing gowns and slippers to Checkers, okay? I will give you something cute to wear to the shops, honey, okay? Don't worry, I got you. I'm coming. And definitely, I'm looking at fashion. I'm looking at skincare. I've shared with social media my struggles with pigmentation. I'm actually trialing a product right now.
Amazing.
And I've let go of sticking to what I thought was defined for me. You're in finance, you must stick to finance. How's a finance person putting together a retreat and then talking about, ascension and then talking about skincare?
Yeah.
But who said I can't be all those things? Who said I should not be all those things? And in fact, spiritualists will tell you that people who are in tune with their purpose, who are called, they actually have multiple lifetimes in one lifetime. So you'll hear of people saying, oh, she's reinvented herself. I started out with this. And those types of people, if you feel yourself like you start something, you finish, and like, okay, what next? And then you're always reinventing yourself. Don't actually fight that flow with that. Because there's actually, you are meant to do in that season that which you're meant to impart, and once you're done, move on to the next season, move on to the next season. So multiple lifetimes is what's in store for Samke. Communities is what's in store for Samke. Global reach is what's in store for Samke. And dispel any ideas you had about who you think Samke is. Let me show you who Samke is.
Let's go. Let's go. I can't wait to see all these continuous manifestations of all these amazing things that you're doing. Atlanta, is there a specific reason why you love that city so much right now?
My man, that's the reason why you're asking like you don't know.
I love that for you. I love that for you. And I saw you in the ATL during Christmas, and I was like, I am so excited for Samke. Seeing the radiance coming out and flowing from you.
A man that allows me to be the main character in my story. Because people often ask, you and Marvin, especially with my dating history, I used to date like you have to be rich and powerful and this, and he's comfortable. He's not someone you would call rich, but he's comfortable. And he's the type of man that says, no, baby, you shine. I'm here to support your shine. And so, coming from that Samke of, my man is X, who leads X company, his father was X, he went to X school, to now dating a Pantsula from New York. It's like, are you sure you're not settling? I'm like, no, honey, I'm elevating. And I'm with the man that supports that elevation.
I love that. Now, Samke, I definitely want to read a bit of the book for our audiences, just to give them a glimpse of what to expect from Ringfence, which, firstly, it looks amazing.
Thank you.
It looks it grabs my attention. I definitely want to go in. So I'm going to go deep in and share with you guys a snippet from the book. Khayia had traveled over 42,563 nautical miles, made 726 diary entries, and cried 147 tissue boxes worth of tears to stand at this podium. She was crystal clear on the gamble she had to take at that podium. Crystal clear on the culture she had to shift on her friend's Nala's behalf. Crystal clear on the laws that denied her friend Lolo justice. Crystal clear on the stigma that was holding her friend Runako hostage in a lifelong sentence. And Khayia was crystal clear on the debt she had to settle once and for all. She had no longer worried about the reaction of the audience. She was here to speak her truth, rather. She was here to speak her friend's truth. She was here to speak women's often unspoken truth. Who is Khayia?
Great question. Who is Khayia?
Yeah.
Some people have said, is it you, Samke? Some people have said, we see you in all the characters, as they see themselves as the readers in all the characters. And in this context, Khayia is a woman who goes from being raised by a single mom, knowing that she has to fend for herself, falls in love, is the breadwinner, that rocks her relationship, and it basically brings her to question her idea of what it means to belong. As always, the outsider, too rich for her poor cousins in the Eastern Cape, but too poor for her classmates where she got in on scholarship. Where does she belong? And not only that, how can she use her understanding of now that everything that's happened has brought her to this place where she understands her value, and that her value is to be also of service in liberating her friends to understand their value. Because if you don't understand your value, there's no ways you'll protect it. And therefore you will never ring fence.
Samke Mhlongo, thank you so much for joining us on the show, Samke. And thank you at home for tuning in on this episode of the Vuyo Show right here on VN. I'm going to close this off by asking our very special guest to close off the show with us and link us out. Can I put you to that challenge?
Yes, which camera am I looking
right
into?
Over here.
You've just watched another episode of the Vuyo Show right here on VN. Stay tuned for another episode where you will learn how people from all over the world are growing, elevating right in front of your eyes, and how you too can tap into that to be the greatest version of yourself. So for myself, Vuyo, and the gorgeous Samke Mhlongo, it is goodbye and God bless.